Hey y'all, and welcome back to our channel. So if you are new here, my name's Emily. We make recovery videos for severe anxiety, agoraphobia, panic disorder, depersonalization and derealization, and all that kind of stuff. So if you are struggling with that, definitely subscribe to this channel first because I post videos frequently. Next, check out the link in the description to this video because I have resources for you. I have my free recovery guide, which is just a document that I made that's literally what I did to recover. I have a link to my private Facebook community, which you can join. And then I also have my group coaching and one-on-one coaching application. All right. What I want to talk about today, honestly, I've sat here and I've recorded this video so many times and I have decided, because I'm getting frustrated, that I am going to release this quick video, which is going to kind of sum it up. And then tomorrow, I'm going to release a video on POTS, a deep dive on POTS, because there's too much to say about it and I just can't touch on it in one video. It's not possible. But anywho, let's just dive into it. What I get from so many people and what derailed me for a short period of time, well, relatively, for months and months and months, and could have derailed me forever, is basically getting hung up on diagnoses that I was receiving as I was searching for what the heck was wrong with me and how I was going to recover. So first, I want you to watch, if you haven't already, my long story video, which details my whole experience, what happened, when it happened, all my symptoms, all that kind of stuff. It's like over an hour long and I could not possibly do this in that video too. So watch that, that'll give you a good background. But elevator speech is 2021. I first had COVID. About 3 months later, I started getting panic attacks, had my gallbladder taken out, woke up from surgery with chronic derealization, chronic panic attacks, a bajillion symptoms that nobody in the world could have convinced me were quote unquote anxiety, right? No way. I was searching doctor to doctor to doctor, saw a trillion specialists, had every test done under the sun. I had so much blood work. Just you name it, I have done it, right? I had done it during that period of time. I even went all the way to the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville and saw a doctor to figure out what was going on with me. And in that time span, I had a lot of diagnoses. POTS. Definitely going to cover that in a separate video, so I don't want to get too dragged into giving you too much information on that. So we'll touch on it a little bit, but basically I got diagnosed with POTS at Mayo Clinic, tilt table test, dysautonomia, which is basically what POTS is under the umbrella of, mast cell activation, which is like a histamine response in your body. That was all at Mayo Clinic. Ehlers-Danlos, I think it's pronounced, EDS. I got diagnosed with that there too. That was all at Mayo. Now, I was also seeing naturopaths and functional doctors during that time. Now, here's where I think it was definitely, mold exposure, gut dysbiosis, Lyme. I'm sure I'm missing a lot of other things, but you get the category. Those were things where I was, testing positive for or being told that I had, and they all had their own treatment plans. So I had that brewing. I had the POTS stuff brewing. I had high inflammation in my blood work. My blood work was all over the place, to be honest, but high inflammation was definitely the biggest thing that I was focused on, and that was showing up in really, really high CRP levels. I had high cortisol levels. From there, they found a thyroid nodule. They found a nodule on my adrenal gland. They found so many things. Something weird on my brain scan, actually, too, which turned out to be nothing. But you get the point. I was having all of these things popping up. And here's the problem, is that each doctor that I was seeing, especially for things like the mold and Lyme and all that kind of stuff, were telling me, oh yeah, this is 100% the reason why you are the way that you are, and here's the cure. You take all these supplements. you do all of these detoxes, and you're back to normal. So it doesn't make sense when everybody is telling me this is the problem, this is the cure, this is the problem, this is the cure, that's not the problem, this is the problem. And it becomes so confusing and so frustrating, and it feels like, okay, what is wrong with me? Am I stuck this way forever? Is it mast cell activation and POTS and dysautonomia, and I am gonna have to live in compression socks and elevate my bed and drink a bunch of water and high sodium and all these different things and walk with a cane and have a support dog and whatever, right? Like, there was a time where I had convinced myself that I was gonna have to be in a wheelchair, actually. Like, it was that bad. And a lot of that was because I was reading Reddit threads and other people's stories about how that's the only thing that they could do and yada, yada, yada. Oh, chronic fatigue syndrome, that's another one. Adrenal fatigue. Oh my gosh, you guys. I could literally give you so many different paths that I had tried to go down. So, back on track. Anyway, yeah, I was getting all these things diagnosed, and here's the thing too that was confusing is they were actually showing up, right? It's not like I was like getting diagnosed with these things that were subjective. A lot of them were objective. Like, I objectively had POTS. I passed the test for dysautonomia. It wasn't just like, you take a test and you circle your answers. No, you have this, right? Kind of like more like chronic fatigue syndrome. That was more of that. But yeah, things were showing up. Lyme, mold exposure, all this stuff was like real things that you can really test positive for. But here's my theory on this is, let's just take mold exposure as an example. I Googled just now to look it up because I was curious. Over 70% of homes have mold in them. Like, you are exposed to mold. We're all exposed to mold, okay? We're all exposed to microplastics. We're all exposed to glyphosate and all these other toxins. Like, it's just part of the world we live in. It sucks, okay? Heavy metals. We're all exposed to heavy metals. So when you go and you take these mold exposure tests, these heavy metal tests, these gut dysbiosis tests, likely there's a high chance that you can test positive. For example, I could probably give my husband the same mold exposure, heavy metals, whatever test, and he will test positive too, because we live in the same environment. We're eating the same foods, we're exposed to the same things, we live in America, and that's just how it is. So he could test positive as well, but was he having all these symptoms? No, he was living a normal lifestyle. So what I would say about that is, while yes, there's nothing wrong with watching what you take into your body and, mildly detoxing and stuff like that. I am actually for that kind of stuff. But is it causing all of your problems? Chances are probably not. If you are in a situation that looks like mine did, which you can only know that yourself by watching my story and trying to connect some of these dots. So there's that. Remember, again, I'm going to have the whole breakdown of POTS, because POTS is something that I want to address separately, because there is a little bit of more nuance to that. But yeah, ask yourself, is there a possibility that I've always had mold exposure, that I've always had these things that I'm testing positive for, and maybe they are unrelated? Yes, there is a possibility of that. Also ask yourself this, okay, because it was hard for me to wrap my mind around when I went down the anxiety route, that anxiety was causing everything. Because it doesn't make sense, right? It's like, I'm not scared of all this stuff. It's not all in my head. There's real things going on in my body. There's measurable things. There's things showing up in my blood work. There's yada, yada, yada. And what I would say is, when you think of anxiety, throw out the definition that you've probably had in your head your whole life of, you're scared of something, you're anxious before a test, you're anxious about, going on a plane ride or something. Throw that out the window, because that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is your nervous system and basically your stress response. And so think of your body, your nervous system, like a cup. And what happens is you get, COVID. And so maybe your cup starts here, general stressors, right? Here's the top of the cup. COVID takes it to here really quickly. It's stressing things in your body. Your body has kind of like a tolerance threshold for dealing with things like, you know, maybe mold exposure or viruses or pot symptoms or whatever it is, right? All these different things, your body has a threshold for it, and it can handle a degree of it. It can handle, you know, taking in toxins and microplastics and whatever else that is absolutely stressing your body, but it's part of living, you know. And then the tolerance or your threshold is slowly being met. Now it's at the top, right? And whether it's at the top from a virus or whatever the reason is, you are now at the top. And it starts to overflow. And that's when you start to get panic and you start to get chronic symptoms. And you start to get all of these problems at once. And now here's what's happening is we have the anxiety component. And that's where we're adding fear. We are trying to fix. We are constantly Googling. We're seeing every doctor. We're trying this supplement and that supplement. And, you know, trying to fix our body. And responding to that chronic stress state by, oh my gosh, I'm in danger. I need to figure something out. I need to fix. Now that is taking your overflowed cup, which is giving you symptoms, and keeping it flowing and flowing and flowing like a waterfall. And now you are stuck in an anxiety cycle. So I hope I kind of like sent that point home. It's kind of complex, but basically, again, you know, things stress your body out. But when you remove anxiety from it, your body has a chance to come down. You have a chance to kind of tackle some of those things with a better perspective and a better lens. Because when I was in the anxiety cycle and I was trying to tackle all these different things going on in my body, it was not working. I eventually stopped taking all the supplements that I was taking, and I just ended up recovering naturally, essentially by response, by letting my body recover and showing it that it's safe, essentially, which is all in my guide. And then now where I'm at this point in recovery, which is I'm living a normal life again, I'm driving, I'm socializing, all that kind of stuff's normal. I have more of the bandwidth to look and say, okay, you know, is there anything going on in my body now? I don't have this lens of freaking out over it. I don't have this lens of fear. I'm more like, okay, how do I get myself feeling optimal and healthy? And how do I take care of my body? Not, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble, I'm dying, I'm in danger, I am stuck like this forever, I am disabled, I need to fix it now. Like, there's a difference, you know? So, yeah, this is a hard one to talk about. And this is why I haven't really made a video super in depth on this, because it's just so much to say. I could talk for hours and hours and hours. But yeah, if you are struggling with all these diagnoses, I really challenge you to look at yourself and think, watch my 5F video and think, am I 5Fing? Am I adding fear to this? Am I constantly trying to fix? How much am I Googling? How much am I spending time on these forums? Really, I guess, like the fear component, the focus component. How much am I thinking about my symptoms, talking about my symptoms, identifying with my symptoms? When all of those things are happening, there is anxiety involved, and it's no longer just mold or just Lyme or just whatever these things are. It is anxiety, which is feeding it and keeping it alive. So I hope this video helps. I'm gonna directly go and record the POTS video, which I will release tomorrow. So stay tuned for that, subscribe for that. Let me know your questions, because I'm happy to do kind of like a Q&A, ask me anything type video on this topic, because there's so much to say. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this helps, and watch my POTS video tomorrow.